Excuse me.
Welcome to the OhioRAAM Show.
Well, hello everybody. This is Jim Lawyer here, and you're watching the OhioRAAM Show, the show about UltraCycling and all things cycling. Hey,
And
Lee, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. We're doing better. I think I'm gaining a little bit of strength after my episode, and that's a good thing. Hey, mark this date down. 2 shows in a row that we've both been here.
Exactly. We're going to make 2023 not miss a show. Huh,
Okay.
I just jinxed us, didn't I?
Well, we'll try to do that. Well,
there you go.
Well, the show comes to you because there are so many wonderful people that operate the Race Across America time stations here in Ohio. Time station 41 in Oxford, 42 in Blanchester, and 43 in Chillicothe. Pause. Okay. And we also want to talk about Mike the Sandman. It's time to start talking about Mike, Jim.
Definitely. Yes, Mike does a great job.
If you've been across the Race Across America, know this, that from the middle of Indiana to the middle of Ohio, these wonderful road signs like you see there is put out by Mike Minium. And he does this out of his own pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to try to help give him a little money to do this. It doesn't make up for all he spends. We know that. But if you go to our website, OhioRAAMshow.com, you'll see a spot on there you can make a donation.
Definitely.
But if you are going to be crossing RAM as a team or just stop by our time stations, for $10 you can get a souvenir sign. They're great. Jim's got one there in the background. Hey,
Yep.
Jim, you owe me 2 signs.
That's right, I do.
You owe me 2 signs.
Yep.
For $10. And that allows him, gives you a souvenir. It's wonderful to get signatures on. You get a Sharpie pen. And, well, we don't give you the Sharpie. You have to get that yourself. But get yourself a Sharpie, get signatures and autographs and what have you. It's a great memento. We see them on the back walls of a lot of our guests.
Definitely.
Around the world, actually.
Yes.
And we're happy for that. A $10 gift puts 1 sign on the road. We used to say 2, but price has gone up like everything else.
Exactly.
And Mike puts about 200 and some signs out, I guess a little more now.
Yep.
And he loses about a third of those every year. So that means a lot of signs have to be replaced. And so
yes,
make a donation there. Go to the OhioRAAMshow.com. Right there on the right, you'll see a place where you can donate. Goes right to Mike. This is just a labor of love he does. It not only is the money, but a lawful lot of work. Jim knows he's been out there helping.
Yep, I've helped a couple of times, and it is
a
lot of work putting them out and then taking them back.
Let's give Mike Minium a boost. Everybody loves the signs here in Ohio.
Right.
Vic says you can easily get lost in Ohio. I don't know. I can find my way around, but apparently Vic can't.
Yep.
And so he likes the signs. Everybody loves the signs.
Yes. So let's get Mike some help, and let's get him out again this year and make him better.
We want to thank everybody for following and subscribing to our shows. Follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and My bell's still in here. I was going to bring it over. I know where it's at.
Uh-oh.
I'll go ding ding,
Ding,
ring
ding,
that
ding. There
bell.
you go. Exactly.
Ring that bell while you're subscribing there at um, YouTube. Jim.
Yeah, and definitely all you people out there watching, and we know we got a few out there already, give us a comment or a question for our guest or us. And if you don't have a question or a comment, just tell us where you're watching from, and we'll give you a shout out.
And Jim, do you know BJ at all? Have you ever met him?
No, I have not. I have not had the fortunate.
Well, so
occurrence
we're
to
going to
meet
make
him.
a
Yes.
new friend tonight. And
Definitely.
it's always good to have people we've had on the show before. We love that, renewing acquaintances, but we also like to make new friends. We're going to make a new friend next week again. I have not met Ingolf Miklish, lives in Cape Coral, Florida. I think he's from some other country, but he flies the American flag.
Gotcha.
And he'll be on next week.
Excellent.
And with that, be sure to give us your comments and questions.
We've had a couple already. Hey,
got a
Jerry,
couple
happy New Year. And
oh, yeah, I should say Happy New Year, everybody.
Definitely. And Red Pearl.
Red
Happy
Pearl,
New
Sandy,
Year.
we're glad to have you
Yep.
get with us. Hey, Sandy, give us a comment. Are you still above water there in Northern California? I've heard you've had a bit of rain. Let us know how it's going, will you? Keep in touch with the family. I know Scott's in Sunnyvale, and he's had plenty of rain, but I think she's got more up her way. Enough of this clowning around, Jim.
Well, we do that all the time. So
let's get on to our guest here, BJ. Hi, BJ. How are you?
BJ.
Hello, guys. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Hey, BJ. When we looked at your CV you sent us, you've got quite a little background in UltraCycling. I don't know. We just haven't bumped into your name before. So go over a little bit how you got into cycling. You live out there, Ely, Nevada?
Yes, yeah, out in the middle of nowhere here, and I still consider myself fairly new to UltraCycling. My first race was only about 3 years ago, and knock on wood, we've had some success over that time frame with what we've been able to accomplish. We've had some good guidance along the way, and truly, I guess my inspiration into UltraCycling was we put a team together here from Ely. We went and did a race called Saints to Sinners, which is a relay race from Salt Lake to Las Vegas. And we were a team of 10. And that morning when we started, there was a guy doing a solo effort. His name was Michael Conti. And it was quite inspirational to watch him go through and what he accomplished. And he only finished a couple hours behind us. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. And that just kind of started that ball rolling for me to stick my toes in it and take a stab at it.
Outstanding.
Great. Well, Sandy says they're wet but not drowned. Earthquake's doing well. Well, just wait, Sandy. Fire season can't be far away.
Oh, wow.
I suggested to my son he ought to find a different place to live, but that's where the jobs are, and that's
Definitely.
such it is. Help me, Jim. My mind's going blank.
BJ, for your endeavor into RAM 2023, I know you did Raw back in 2021 and came in first. Are you using the same crew, same team with you this year coming up for RAM, or how's that working?
Fortunately for us, it is basically the same crew. The same crew obviously enjoyed our last experience. And so when we basically put plenty of thought into it, when we wanted to do our next step here, when we basically decided that, yes, we want to give it a try, the first thing that we basically said is, we may give it a try if we can get a quality crew together. And so, I don't want to go and show up at the race without having everything in order and ready to go. And
Right.
and knock on wood, everybody on our crew has basically stepped up and is back on the crew again.
That's
And so
awesome.
I'm very, very excited about that.
Yep. We always get the questions, about follow cars and vans, etc. What's your situation going to be for that this year?
We've had a couple meetings with the team so far, kind of coordinating that. We got a Sprinter van that we
Okay.
basically will be our main vehicle that we'll race out of and sleep out of. That'll be our vehicle that's always with us. We'll have another chase vehicle that will swap out the crews, and between their shifts work, they'll swap out the crews and be able to get their rest. We are still kind of very early in the planning stages and looking at possibly getting a motorhome to help the crew sleep a little bit more in their transition up the road to meet us for their next shift.
Gotcha.
And so those are all preliminary ideas that are still in the works,
Outstanding. We've got one of our viewers out there asking, Jerry asked, what made you want to get into UltraCycling?
Well, like I just kind of briefly said,
Yeah.
we watched Michael Conti in that race come in and do it, and I just was quite impressed with it. That here I know I was very tired after that race, and there was 10 of us on our team, and to come back and watch Michael come to the finish line and load up the next morning and go home, look with none the worse for wear. And so I
Right.
just was very impressed by it, and I thought, well, I guess I want to see what that's about and see what it's like. So
Outstanding.
we did.
Great. Lee?
Well, I just want to inject here. I got to thinking, Sandy, Earl, it isn't funny. All the stuff going on out there. I shouldn't make light out of it. I apologize for that.
It was taken how it was meant, Lee, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know she's a good
Yeah.
egg, but
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of stupid of me, and I can do pretty stupid things sometimes, as
Never.
everybody who's been around here knows. BJ, you may not have noticed this, but RAM is a good bit longer than RAM, than Raw. So, what are you going to do different?
I think different is I just want to my goal is I respect the race, obviously. I've done a lot of research understanding what's going on. I've had a lot of actually I became very good friends with Michael Conti since that time we first met. In fact, Michael was actually on our crew, came on our crew for Raw to help us through that. And so, he's always there to come and give me some good insights of kind of what we're to expect, what we're going to run into. And I just have a lot of respect for the race, and I'm not going to disrespect my other competitors and come in and say that I'm going to do something fancy. My fancy is I just want to make Annapolis in 12 days. At the end of the day, is get in there and just do everything we can to try to make it to the finish line.
Excellent.
How many? Did you say? I may have missed it. Did you say how many crew you have?
Yeah, we had basically three on a day shift and 3 on the night shift, and so we got a 6-man crew. There's always kind of some others in the background, in the peripheral there that are just kind of runners that are not necessarily on. I mean, they're supportive, but they're not necessarily on the crew to support us throughout the ride. They're just kind of maybe grabbing supplies and being around there. When we did Raw, Michael came on as the crew towards the end of it there, and his goal was to just be there to help us make strategic decision making along the way. And so Michael didn't really wasn't on the day shift or the night shift. He just kind of stayed on the van pretty much most all the time, and was there to be able to guide us and say, hey, this is what's coming up, this is what you're gonna be running into. And so that was a benefit to us. But right now we ran through 6 mainly with Raw. Michael being a 7th, and then with RAM, I think we may have a few extra that will come on board there just to potentially take on that other thing of the motorhome that we were talking about to help the crew get some additional rest. Because based on our meetings that we've had so far leading up and getting ready for RAM, is had the way that it was working, that it worked great for Raw, but they felt that they could run into a little bit of sleep deprivation, once you go over to 12 days, it'd be a little bit different. So trying to find them some ways to get some extra sleep along the way to, at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to be making all the decisions for me on my bike and what we're doing. And so we want them to be well rested so that they can make good decisions.
Gotcha. I know since you've done raw, you're kind of familiar with some of the heat problems that exist. Are you going to train this year for the longer bit in the heat, or how are you going to handle all that?
Well, I don't know, that year that we did raw, that year that heat
Yes.
was record breaking. I think when
Yep.
we went through the desert that day, it was 122 degrees. And so
Hmm.
I've never even been in 122 degrees temperatures, let alone try to ride my bike all day through it.
Right.
And so that was something that was, boy, I don't know what to say. It was just miserable. It ruined a lot of people's races, and in fact, I even thought it would ruin my race, because at the end of it, I think I had lost, 7 hours to the guys up front,
Right.
going through that desert, just trying to struggle. And,
Hmm.
I always tell everybody that I don't know that that was a race winning strategy, but I think it may have turned out to be a race winning strategy where we actually did take some breaks throughout that heat and tried to keep our temperatures down and survive it. And I think, hindsight being 2020, that it may have worked out for us that we didn't basically burn up our reserves early on and trying to get us through that heat. We just basically suffered through it and got through it. And so we were very fortunate there.
Gotcha. Are you going to change since this is a longer race, have you thought about your nutrition plan? Is that going to change from how you did raw, or is it just going to be expanded upon for RAM?
Yeah, we are. We've definitely made some major nutritional changes to us in all my events leading up to this. We've always my biggest struggle in all my events has been my nutrition, and what I mean by that is that have never made it through a race where I really didn't have a 5-6 hour window there where you just were very upset. And I've never lost anything as far as throwing up or anything else,
Right.
but I've had situations where your performance is suffering because you're having a very difficult time taking anything in. And so to do everything that we could to try to make our success on RAM the best that we possibly could, I've took on a nutritionist named Jillian Mooney, which you may know from Team Joe
Yes.
Barr.
There you
And
go.
so Jillian, I'm working with Jillian regularly. We talk regularly. She monitors all the stuff that we're doing, and she, has some great plans for us. And our first race that we did, actually having Jillian with us, was a Silver State 508 this year. And so that actually went pretty well for us as far as our nutritionist was concerned. We basically made it through without really having an upset stomach and having any troubles. I mean, the only trouble that we really had wasn't because of our nutrition. I guess it was probably because of our lack of nutrition. That was probably my fault, because as we went through the night, very early in the morning, it was very, very, very cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was so cold, you basically didn't have a desire to take anything in. It wasn't necessarily because you was upset stomach, but it was just the conditions. And I think at the end that kind of cost us a little bit of downtime when we finally ran out of our nutrition and just had to kind of stop and get caught up with that. So, but that was a personal mistake on my side, not on Jillian's part.
Gotcha.
She had wrote out a plan and had basically prepared us a 30-hour meal plan to get us through the
Wow.
race.
Outstanding. Go ahead, Lee.
I got to say, BJ, you tell Jill that she's supposed to have some extra of those oatmeal cakes of hers, or cookies,
I'll
or
tell her.
biscuits, or whatever you call them over there in Ireland, and leave them off here in Ohio, because we've heard so much about them. I love oatmeal,
There you go.
and I just would like to try one of those out.
Definitely. BJ, on equipment wise, I'm assuming you're going to take multiple bikes. Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that kind of situation for us?
Yeah, I basically I made it through raw with 2 bikes. I'll probably take 3 bikes on this trip. More of basically the same 2 bikes. I got an S-Works Roubaix, and then I got an S-Works Shiv.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Roubaix gets us up over the mountains. The Shiv gets us through the flats and some speed. And I think I'll take another. I got a new Colnago gravel bike. I'll probably take that along the route with me. And the reason I'm saying that is just because at times as you get back in there, maybe get some rough roads or whatever. I think
Yep.
the bigger, the wider tires, we can run a little lower pressure and be a little less harmful and a little less vibration absorbed by the body all the time. And
There you
so,
go.
just as a little strategy, trying to make do what we can to try to make those difficult areas a little less difficult, I guess.
Makes great sense. Uh, if you were going to give one suggestion to somebody that wants to get into ultracycling, what would be your suggestion or your advice?
Oh, I think you got to be very dedicated to your training and getting ready, set up for this situation. Um, it takes, it is a lot of work to get through a race. They're long distance, lots of hours. And I think what's coming from my side is being disciplined. I basically started my training about 4 years ago for leading up to my first race, and I've been very diligent and haven't basically stopped training since that point in time. Even after my races, I haven't necessarily dropped off. I've maintained my base so that I'm always in good conditioning and I don't have to come and have a big drop from my base conditioning and then ramp it up for the race. My ramp ups are a little bit less than maybe a lot of people because I keep a base all the time.
Gotcha.
And I think that the discipline comes in here is one of the things I'm very proud to say is that I have not, I probably over the last 4 years, I probably missed about 5 workouts at the
Wow.
most
That's impressive.
that I've done. If I miss a day, I make it up on my day off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the discipline and the steadiness and always being on there is what makes a difference. And then I think the other difference is when you get in there is don't get involved in the race. And what I mean by that is, I'm only capable of doing this race in so many hours. And so if somebody's going to go out fast and going to make it faster than that, I'm not going to spend my energy to try to keep up with them. I'm going to come in here and shoot at my goals to make it in whatever time frame that I want to make it in.
Right.
And if that's fast enough to win the race, it's fast enough to win the race. If not, I wasn't meant to win the race,
That's
And
smart
I've watched
thinking.
I've watched too many people go out at the start and they just take off and they're out there in front, but 100 miles down the road, you're passing them and they ain't looking like they're smiling anymore.
There you go. They're imploding. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about your fundraising and what you're doing on that front? I think you said something about the Rotary Club.
Yeah, I'm very excited about our, with all of our racing that we've done, we've always associated some type of fundraising along with that. We've come back in and one of our races we raced for the Boys and Girls Club, raised money for the Boys and Girls Club locally. Another one we did for to raise money for victims of domestic violence, where in the community they're trying to build a house to come in and basically to be able to separate them out of the situation that they're in and give them a place to get back on their feet and help them out. And so I think it's important to give back when you have the opportunities to. And so this year, being a longer race and hoping to do a little bit better in our fundraising, we've stepped our fundraising efforts up from the standpoint of before it was just our team out there as we were racing, trying to raise some funds or whatever. But this year, our local Rotary Club has basically stepped up and is going to run the fundraising for us. And so we have basically our past president, current president, and our future, and the next president, the president-elect, I guess. The three of them are up and running it for our the fundraising for this race. And so what we're going to do with that fundraising is the goal is to do a humanitarian project and to raise some funds for clean water in Ghana.
Outstanding. Lee, I'll let you talk a little bit. I've been kind of monopolizing BJ.
That's
Sorry about
okay.
that.
I'm just enjoying sitting back here and relaxing. I just wanted to say that we've got a nice crowd out there, and we'd like to
Definitely.
hear where you're from. Just check in and say, "Hey, I'm from wherever." Let us know you're here.
Kind of
Well,
like
we know
the
you're
voice
here.
of,
We just like to find out where you're from, your
There you
name,
go.
so forth. And we're always glad to have Greg, the voice of the OhioRAAM
Yep.
show, on there. I just want to say that on the website, OhioRAAMshow.com, in the show notes below the video for this show, you'll see a link to that funding site. And we know the Rotary Club does a lot of good things. Are these local club projects, or is this part of a worldwide projects you're doing at all, BJ?
Well, I think they're trying they're trying to do it above and beyond a local thing. They're trying to come out and get Rotary International and everything else involved in it. And so that's why, like I said, I think we're taking a step up in the fundraising efforts this time, rather than just us as our small little team trying to do that. We got a team that's basically just doing nothing but the fundraising. And so I'm excited about that. I know that I just know the people that they are. They're people who get things done. And so they're going to do a tremendous amount for this thing. And so it's going to be for more of an international thing. And I think they want to come in and, of the funds we raise, I think they're going to reach out to other, foundations, Rotary International, everybody else, to come in and see what they can find, backers that may come in and maybe possibly match dollar for dollar or something else along those lines to maximize the benefit that we can do for this, and create this, some benefit for these countries.
Well, like I said, on the OhioRAAMshow.com website, you'll find a link to your funding program. The URL is extremely long, so we'll not try to give that here. But when you here comes that question, Jim.
Uh-oh, I know what it is. It's the,
When
it's
you
the, it's the lead question.
wake up at 4:00 in the morning and get to thinking about this race, what do you think about a lot? What goes over in your mind again and again?
Basically, being prepared. I think that's the enormous amount of thing. We have our meetings with our crew, trying to get everything in order. Think of so many things. I tell them, I said, I believe that when you take that starting line, there's never 100% chance of finish. Never. I don't care if you had everything in order, it's never 100% guarantee. And so I tell them, I said, if we had 100% of everything that we could possibly do to be ready for this situation, then that might make it so that we got a 75% chance of finishing. Mm-hmm. If we come in here and we're 50% prepared, our chance of finishing may drop down to 25. And I said, so, I want to have everything that we possibly can in order, thought of. I mean, you're never going to think of everything, but just to have plans and have people in place that can make strategic decisions when you're dealing with problems, because I believe that RAM is going to be, just a constant dealing with little problems. Mm-hmm. And how you deal with those problems is how it's going to help you get to the finish line. And so we want to have everything in order to have the best things in front of us to be able to be ready for those problems. So I everything that I think about all the time is being prepared, mm-hmm. Because that's what's going to give us our best chance of making it to the finish line.
That's a great philosophy, and I wish more people would think that way going into RAM, because we see so many people implode about Ohio because they didn't think about things or they didn't have a plan. So you're doing it right.
Well, we thank you for being with us, taking time out of your schedule to take a few minutes to talk with us. We wish you well and success. We wish you, first of all, a safe ride and good health. And we hope that you raise a lot of bucks for your projects. I think it's wonderful what all these UltraCyclists do over the years. It's raised so much money for so many good causes. Mm-hmm. And the Rotary Club has been one of the top money collectors of all time for the race across America, I think, probably, mm-hmm. If not the right. highest.
Very close.
And we're glad to see you in there with that as well.
Definitely. And can't wait
Jim,
to see
you got anything else you'd like to share with us, BJ? It's on your mind we haven't asked about?
I just like to say, to make sure that, that I recognize, my crew and everybody that supports me going through here, because, I may be the one out on the bike, doing those things, but I surely can't do it by myself. And there's just so many people to thank out there with the crew, how much the endless time that they put in, helping us be prepared for this. The crew, help the people at Rotary that are coming in here now and trying to get this fundraising together. That's, enormous task in itself. And another thing that I want to come out here and say is I'm very fortunate where, in a small community, there's a tremendous amount of support that I get from my community that coming in here, and a lot of it sometimes, when I did RAW, it was very surprising to me because sure, people knew that I was going to do this race or whatever, but the amount of people in the community that followed us during that race that was going on was truly tremendous. And I just want to thank them for that because, those are very important things to come in and to come and find out when you're in the middle of the night, in your second night in RAW. And one of the things that the crew is doing is reading me all these things that are being written from people back in my community about what we're doing and the excitement of it, and hey, keep going, you're doing amazing, or whatever it is. I mean, those are very inspirational things that help you in very down times to keep you moving. And so, I just want to thank the community because I think it was very special to me to come back in here and recognize that the community had provided so much support, behind me and supported me throughout that race. I mean, it's pretty special when you live in a small little community. Small community, probably 4,000 or 5,000 people in the community. And when I got back into town from RAW, when I pulled into town, I got a fire truck and ambulance escort to my front door of my house. And as I'm going up my road to my house, it's lined with people from the community cheering us on as we're coming home. And so
awesome.
That just means so much to me. And, I appreciate all their support. And it's things like that that get you through the low spots of these races.
Definitely.
Well, that's great. And we always enjoy hearing about the support people get from the community.
Definitely. And you'll have a lot of cheering and support as you come through Ohio on your way
That's
to the
right.
finish.
That's good.
We'll be there yelling and cheering you on.
We'll give you a warm welcome, probably a wet one as well, if it's typical, and maybe a little fireworks to go with it. We like to throw in a little thunderstorm when you get to Ohio, just to keep you
on your toes.
on your toes.
There you go.
So, well, thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we appreciate that. All those of you who commented, we appreciate that. And we want to see you all next week here, same time next week. We'll have Mr. Miklish from, I think he's from Florida, lives in Florida,
that's correct.
as I recall.
Yep.
And so we'll have him with us next week. And mind how you go.
There you
Jim,
go. And
thanks a lot.
thank you, sir. And thank you again, BJ. And we look forward to seeing you. And hang on after the show ends for us, okay?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right,
I appreciate it.
Okay, Greg, do your thing.
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.